So this video, I had to send the email to Cliff. Cliff, hi. I sent my, as I always do, I copy the link in the email message. For the subject, I just put do vid, copy paste the link, send to myself. And there's 2 links in this one. And I copied them in there. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to CC Cliff High on this one. And I said, Cliff, this is my reminder for myself to do a video on this later tonight. But check this out. Do you remember what the webbot said about our military men being stuck overseas? And he's like, yeah, and that was a scary data set, actually. It wouldn't be good if that one started fulfilling. So I want to tell you what the data set, what the webbot said about it before I read you some of this. It talked about a time, of course in the future, in which our military men and women would essentially be stuck overseas somehow. And it would be kind of like the country we had an agreement with for many, many, many years or decades. We got our military over there. We may have a base over there, whatever it is. We've been using it. And of course, we've been paying them this whole time, like we do with everybody. And something happens to where they say, we've had enough. Get your guys out of here. They try to get the guys out of there, get them into the airport, ship them back to the U.S., and they find that we don't take U.S. dollars here. You got to pay us some other way. Okay, I'll convert these U.S. dollars into such and such. No, we don't take them at all. You're not going to convert them because we don't want them. We won't do the conversion either. You got to find another way out of here. And then that wouldn't be the only story. Other countries would start following suit, I believe, if I recall. So this is interesting because this first article says U.S. dollar shortages hit Qatar. Qatar. It looks like it's Qatar, but it's pronounced Qatar. Qatar, the country, which again, Donald Trump in Saudi Arabia. All of a sudden, we're going to fight terrorism, and Qatar, you're the bad guy. All of a sudden, what? You do realize we have a base over there on their soil that they're allowing us to use. Could you imagine another president who's got their equipment and people on your country in a base, military base, and using your base strategically or your property strategically to put their base on and fly aircraft in and out and whatnot, and they had the nerve to call you a terrorist and team up with another country basically to not fight against you, but make life hard on you, financial transactions and all kinds of stuff. That's what we just did to Qatar, if you didn't hear the news recently. I didn't realize we had a base over there. And I'm thinking, why would the hell would we do that? That's going to be the dumbest thing ever. It's like calling someone a terrorist, and they're nice enough to let you put all their stuff there. Of course, you've been paying them. But now they're like, wait a minute. We're not really terrorists, though. You're calling us that. What that? Why are we even letting you stay here? Get this crap off our property. Get this riffraff off of our property, man. Calling us terrorists. So that's interesting. U.S. dollar shortages hit Qatar exchange houses as foreign banks scale back ties to Qatar. Shortage of U.S. dollars hit money exchange houses in Qatar on Sunday, making it harder for worried foreign workers to send money home. Again, in U.S. dollars, right? As foreign banks scaled back business with Qatari institutions because of the region's diplomatic crisis. And again, the crisis is simply what just happened, Saudi Arabia and us and all that. We have no dollars because there is no shipment or transportation from the United Arab Emirates. There is no stock, said a dealer at the Qatar UAE exchange house in Doha's city center mall. The shipment is blocked from the UAE, he said. Huh, interesting. So here's another article from the MiddleEastEye.net. Qatar crisis could have major implications for massive U.S.-UK airbase, analysts say. And that's the one that really caught my eye. The Al Udeid airbase in Qatar is key to the U.S.-led air campaign against the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. Or should I call it the Iraq? The prolonged isolation of Qatar by Saudi Arabia and its allies could see the collapse of the Gulf Cooperation Council, or GCC, and Turkey's entrance into to the region, with serious implications for United States and UK military bases in the country, analysts have warned. Qatar is home to the giant U.S. Air Force Al Udeid Air Base, a key staging area for operations against the Islamic State group in Iraq and Syria. The base, which boasts one of the longest runways in the Middle East, is a strategically important facility for the U.S.-led coalition and is home to 10,000 U.S. personnel. The future of the base was thrown into doubt on Tuesday when U.S. President Trump took sides in the bitter row among the Gulf monarchies, which has seen Saudi Arabia and its allies isolate Qatar over claims it supports extremism. U.S. military authorities have been at pains to stress friendly relations with Qatar, but Kamal Alam, a visiting fellow at diplomatic and defense think tank RUSI, told Middle East Eye that Trump's tweets have put the U.S. military establishment into a bit of a spin. He said the longer-term implications, if this becomes a protracted dispute, are huge, and with Kuwait and Turkey mediating, it is largely out of the hands of the U.S. and the UK. Alam added that the worst-case scenario could be the collapse of the GCC or the exclusion of Qatar from the key regional grouping. The Saudi Islamic Arab coalition could fall apart, he said, and maybe if this situation continues, we might see the first steps of replacing U.S. protection in Qatar for Turkish protection, which would mean what? U.S. get lost, Turkey come over. It hasn't happened yet, but the webbot said, I'm talking years ago, it spelled it out as I described to you in the beginning of this video. Troops stranded, can't get back, they won't take the dollar. Well, wait a minute, there's no dollars over there. The United Arab Emirates aren't bringing them, there's no deliveries, but they have no dollars. How are you going to do exchanges if you don't have any dollars? And we have 10,000 personnel there. And we're about to get thrown out, potentially, because who's dealing with this? Kuwait and Turkey are mediating. Shouldn't we be helping mediate? I mean, we got a massive vested interest over there. Our freaking guys in our military base of extremely strategic importance is over there. Instead, we're kind of siding with Saudi and talking about these terrorism and stuff going on in Qatar. What would you do if you were Qatar? So, again, nothing's happened yet. Nothing is back yet. But he said, and remember Trump's tweet, so good to see the Saudi Arabia visit with the king and 50 countries already paying off. They said they would take a hard line on funding extremism, and all reference was pointing to Qatar. Perhaps this will be the beginning of the end of the horror of terrorism. You are calling Qatar terrorists or supporting terrorism. Who would stand for that? Get your crap, get your riffraff off my property immediately, or we'll seize everything. I mean, wouldn't you kind of say something like that yourself? How dare you talk to us that way? We were partners this whole time. We allowed you to have your people and your military base here, and this is what we get from you? If they're really behind terrorism, are they going to be allowing the number one terrorist fighter, the U.S., to call yourself a home right here next to us? You'll never find it. They'll never know it's us. Put a military base right next to us. You'll never figure it out it was us. Come on. This has got to be the dumbest thing ever. But it warrants this video, not because it has happened yet, but I have never seen anything come this close. There's been a couple of videos that I've done on this exact subject on the webbot, this particular webbot meme or whatever. And I said, this I could see where this could turn into that, or, that's why I'm doing this video. I could see where it could kind of go that way if we're, But that was it. That's about the extent of it. This, on the other hand, whoa. I'd say we're pretty damn close. Would you not agree? This is a multi-year-old webbot, meme that hasn't come back in the data. Hasn't been like, silver, 600, 500 silver. So like it keeps saying, wait, it's coming, Nope. This was in there. It was in great detail, but it didn't just keep coming back over and over and over and over again like some of these other ones. Yet, This is about as close as you're going to get to it, at least right now, unless it turns into that. So let's think about something. How does the webbot work? And Cliff High says simply, either an event's going to happen, and that's why people are going to be talking about it because it just happened. Now it's something to talk about that they didn't know about beforehand because they didn't know about it beforehand. So an event happens, and all of a sudden people are talking about it. Typical, right? Right. The issue is the webbot doesn't know, are people just talking about this for some reason, but it's not because the event happened. Yet the language is still talking as if kind of it happened or might happen because they're talking about it. Webbot does not know, cannot differentiate. So what I'm going to say is I hope, because it wasn't a good data set for the world, by the way, I'm going to hope that this is a webbot hit, but only because they're talking about it, not actually doing it. It hasn't been done. But I got a sneaky suspicion it's probably going to happen, and this is a stepping stone towards that direction. As I always say, are things in the world, whether it's the economy you want to focus on, housing, or pretty much anything I've ever discussed on my channel, all of that stuff, does it appear to be getting better, or does it appear to be getting worse? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Well, that looks better. Well, the Middle East tensions have slowed down. Well, no, wait a minute. Actually, they haven't. Oh, no, that is worse. Oh, yeah, we're spending more money. Oh, yeah, we're deeper in debt. Oh, yeah, housing, prices skyrocketing all-time high again. And how'd that end? Oh, there's no good news here. Unfortunately, there's no good news. And the news is just steadily worse, 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 worse. Well, how far down the worst chain does something have to get, or some things, because it's a lot of stuff all going down the same path, have to get before there's an actual crisis event where people are having to deal with something like 2008 when it happened. This doesn't appear to be turning around, is what I'm trying to say. This appears to be a trend, and it's global, and it's systemic in all different categories, from finance to war to whatever, all of it. Not looking good. And I hope that this doesn't materialize into what the webbot talked about years ago, because again, that was like a World War III data set kind of a thing. And I don't think any of us want to deal with that. So I did need to do this video. It's not quite a hit, but the language has been met, technically speaking. Therefore, it could be a hit. But for me, it has to happen. It has to actually happen in order for me to come out here and say this is a webbot hit. Even though the language is there, it met all the criteria. For me to come out and say this is absolute webbot hit, not happening. I can't do it. But what are the chances that this stuff that I just read you is here right now? It was just posted. This is brand new. Right now, and years ago, webbot spoke of where this could easily lead us to, like perfectly, flawlessly. Chance? I think not. Take care.